Okay, so this is my Sunday my Sunday video I wanted to shoot today, and this is my camera is so just my camera is just kind of like it's just very blurry, but man, I want to give people like the actuality of wealth building and the reality of it. And let's talk about money and why money is not as important as you may think outside of paying your living expenses. Right? Everyone say, okay, yeah, I want a bunch of money and I want this, that, and the third, and everybody wants to be a millionaire. Everybody wants to be a millionaire. Everybody wants more money. But the reality is, I'm going to give you, for most people, I would say 99% of people, money, most people are not motivated by money. Right? It's just not. If you make a certain amount of money and you have a certain amount of debt, what's the point of making more money? Right? So if you're making, I don't know, $80,000 a year and you have no debt, right, and you're paying off your house, right, you have, nice cars, I wanted to say beat up cars, but brand new cars, maybe like a Audi or something like that, you're paying that off, what's the point of making more money, right? What's the point, right? So let me get you, and I came up with this by talking with a lot of different people, mostly business owners and very successful business owners, right? They tend to be a lot older than me, way older than me. But this is the actuality of the reality of wealth building and the 1%, right? And the reality is most people are not money motivated, right? They make enough money just to pay their bills, just to live a certain lifestyle, right? So why your personal values is going to really depend on how much money you make, right? Your personal values, right? And how long you're going to make that, and what type of skills that you're going to get yourself into, right? And then from there, you have to obviously you have to have skills. Either if you are an accountant, engineer, construction worker, or a plumber, and then you have to go out and you have to earn money, right? Pretty much you have to build a business at that point, and then you start to accumulate wealth, right? But the very bottom right here is life mission, purpose. Like, why are you doing, the why has to be greater than anything else, right? You can't, there's no way that, that's why the hustle mentality is stupid. It's flawless. It's short term. That's not long term. There's very few people who can go out there and achieve what they want to achieve as far as wealth in a hustle mentality. You're going to burn out. A. B. Usually most of those guys, their personal values are all messed up, right? Because they just are, right? They spend their money on lavish lifestyles. They spend the money on trips to Dubai. They spend their money on 747 Boeing jets. And they spend the money on bullshit, right? They spend the money on bullshit. They care too much about they care too much about an image, man. When you care too much about an image, it's going to take away from this accumulating wealth. You care too much about an image, right? You don't. So there's definitely a balance. And that comes back from personal values: respect, integrity, stability, and appreciation for hard work, right? And then the purpose, right? And I would say that most men, from my perspective, the life mission is taking care of their family. Taking care of their family, being able to send their kids to college, stuff like that. And that kind of like what's gears them to do what they have to do to accumulate that wealth and to earn that money. Right? I mean, there's very few people that are that self-driven by themselves to go out and accumulate wealth. And I would say, rule of thumb, be careful of people like that. You do not want to surround yourself with people who are that self-motivated by themselves to go out there and accumulate wealth. In a general sense, right? I'm not necessarily talking about. It's a lot of personal stuff that drills down into that, right? But in the rule of thumb, a life mission, which is you be taking care of your family, financial freedom is a life mission, right? That's a life mission. That's not a 5-year mission, 10-year mission, 20-year mission. That's 40, 50 years, right? And yeah, you can actually accumulate a lot of wealth working a job. You can accumulate a lot of wealth being an entrepreneur. Rule of thumb, most employees have been with the company for 10. If you're an accountant or engineer that has consistently moved up in your field over a 30-year period, you're going to accumulate a lot of wealth. I know plumbers I know plumbers, man, that they have a lot of wealth and a lot of cash in the bank. Plumbers, right? And the common denominator is appreciation for hard work. There's no way around that, right? There's no way around that. That is the common denominator: appreciation for hard work, long-term consistency, integrity, and common sense, right? Common sense. There's a rule of thumb for accountants. Like like I said, I'm in the accounting business. I started an accounting firm with a partner, and I would say a rule of thumb is, if you can't manage your own money, there's no point of you being an accountant, managing someone else's money. And that's the rule of thumb for financial advisors, right? If you're a financial advisor and you can't manage your own money, you can't pay your own bills, right? Why the hell would you go out and do that with the client's money? That's common sense, right? That's just a rule of thumb, right? If you can't do that yourself in your own personal, if you can't be a leader amongst your family, how are you going to go run a company? It doesn't work like that, right? And that's just the cold hard truth, right? If you're not really living your personal life, how you live your business life, that's going to be a problem with that. That's the common denominator, right? And that's the truth. And that's how you do it. There is no shortcuts. There's no what the 1% are doing. They just mastered these particular things, right, at a high level. They might have been doing it at a high level. Like, there's different levels of doing it, right? There's the middle class level of doing it, where you kind of work, a decent job for 30, 40 years. They accumulate massive wealth. I do know that at Gray Bar, it's an employee-owned company. The company that I'm working for right now, I'm working in sales and operations. There's been employees there for 50 years. 50 years. Employee-owned company. if you work at a company for 50 years and you own, I mean, at that point, you satisfied everything at that point, right? You're owner of a company, right? You've been at that company for 50 years, right? And then you accumulated wealth off the rip, because Great Bar has grown over the past 50 years, right? I mean, it's a big company. It has grown over the past 50 years, right? And I would say, like, and how you manage your money and stuff like that. I mean, they could have spent all that money on drugs, alcohol, luxury lifestyles, and stuff like that. That's just the reality. The reality is there is no shortcuts to wealth building. There is no what the 1% is doing. There is none of that. There is no shortcuts. There is no the 1% is doing this and the 1% is doing that. No, it's pretty simple. They have mastered this. What the hell? They have mastered their life purpose. Their personal values is aligned to their skill set, and they earn high dollars and they accumulate massive wealth over a 30-year period, right? And then they have appreciation for hard work, and they're consistent in their integrity, right? They're able to get up and do what they have to do to take care of their business, right? And their common sense is aligned with all that, right? And one thing I like to think about is Elon Musk, right? This is it. I mean, I hate to bring the guy up. I'm not nowhere near as smart as that guy, but that guy, this dude is the smartest dude in the world. Elon Musk is probably one of the smartest people in the world. Literally. He is literally the smartest people in the world. And what he pretty much figured out, his life purpose was to expand the human race. I don't know, expand the human race. Right? Expand the human race. That's pretty much saying that he's going to try to put people on Mars, Saturn, whatever. Expand the human race. Right? His personal values, he's an engineer, so that's pretty simple, right? Innovation, hard work, consistency, right? And then he goes out, his skill set is that, being able to problem solve, engineering. He goes out, he earns, and then he builds businesses. That's how he accumulates his wealth, right? At the end of the day, he's the guy told you, the common denominator is hard work. That's it. There is no shortcuts to wealth building, right? There is no getting lucky. There's none of that, right? He just happened to be in the right place at the right time. He's an engineer, and the rule of thumb is that most high earners, individuals that accumulate massive wealth, there's only 3 fields they're in. 3. They're accountants, engineers, doctors, right? Or electricians. Serious entrepreneurs. I'm talking about a serious entrepreneur. But the common denominator with that is hard work. That's it. There's no way around that. Right? There's no way around it. That is the common denominator. It's not, I mean, I hate to say this, but everyone thinks that there's just some, the wealthy is doing this and the wealthy is doing that. I mean, all people see is the luxury lifestyles and the freaking, the gigantic houses out in the Hamptons or whatnot. Sacrifice, hard work, consistency, integrity. That's the common denominator, right? And then they kind of just build on that. They don't really make a lot of mistakes. That's just the reality. And they have a lot of common sense, right? A lot of common sense. So that's just the rule of thumb. And they do it at a high level, at a consistent basis, right? a lot of the shit that, you know, and I know, and everyone has their own different personalities. I have my own personality. So I know for a fact, I mean, what they do might not work for me. Because I'm more laid back. I mean, I'm more, it's not how I am. Right? And I think I was reading this one book. It's called McKinsey Consulting, on the aspect of that you have to hit singles every day. Hit singles every day. That's it. You have to hit singles. What that mean by that is that you don't necessarily have to be the best guy, the fastest guy, the strongest guy. You all you have to do is hit singles. Just show up and hit singles. That's it. I mean, there's no other way around that, and that's just the reality. I mean, it's not. A lot of times people want to say, "Oh yeah, they want to live an experience." Right? They want to live an experience. There's no experience. It's just the way you live your life. That's just the reality. And the reality is, certain individuals perceive the world different, as far as individuals that are extremely wealthy. They do not view the world the same as a middle class individual, right? They have a lot of responsibilities. They're not sitting around there blowing their money on stupid shit unless they have the money, right? They're more so worried about providing them services, providing that, getting the job done, shit like that. But that's just the reality. The reality is there is no shortcuts. There is no what the wealthy is doing. There's none of that. That's just the reality. This is coming from an accountant, man. I've ran CPA firms. I've seen what wealth looks like. I've seen who has the wealth. I've seen all that. Right? You'd be surprised. And I've seen plumbers wealthy. I've seen electricians wealthy. I've seen engineers wealthy. And I've seen vice versa. I've seen people with good jobs, bro, that spend their money on bullshit. They damn near don't have no money. They were living paycheck to paycheck. So yeah, you can make $200,000 a year, $300,000 a year, and be living paycheck to paycheck. Right? At that point, you're living your life based off of an image, what others people want to see. Right? That's the reality. The reality is, money is a tool. Right? Money is a tool. Money funds the way that you live a certain lifestyle. Money funds things to live a certain lifestyle. So your personal values is going to really be dependent on how much wealth you accumulate in over long periods of time. That's why hustle mentality is stupid. Very few people can do that. And so yeah, that's just the reality. The reality is there are no shortcuts. There is no what the wealthy 1% is doing. And one thing that I was told, individuals who continuously learn, who can apply what they continuously learn, that's what stands out as far as leadership and stuff like that. So if you that's just it. That's just the reality. So I wanted to end on that, and then I also want to end on, I gotta go work out today, shit. And then I want to end on I wanted to end on being able to problem solve, man. That's my biggest problem. So okay, so I might want to jump back on this, but being able to problem solve at a high level and knowing when to think critically and when not to. That's important. 90% of things are face value. And and most things are simple. There is no, the world doesn't work like that. I mean, there is no shortcuts. Most things, most complex issues boil down to simple concepts, right? You know, how can we, for example, okay, how can, on a personal life, at a personal life, how can we make things cheaper? Well, stop eating out. Go buy groceries, right? That's personal values. How can we make something cheaper? Okay, how can we save money? Where can we save money at? Right? Go buy groceries. Stop eating out. Cook your own food. Common sense principles that translate into the business world. Okay, well, we may not necessarily be able to go out and, let's say if you're working on a construction project or you're trying to build a software, right? We may not necessarily have the money to go out and hire an outsourced an outsourced team to build a software, right? The cheapest route would probably be, learn the skill set yourself and build it yourself, or different routes to doing that, right? Or you go out and you hire someone to do that in-house. So a lot of it is just common sense stuff that that how you live your personal life is going to how you live your business life. It's the same thing. So and that's just what I want to touch on, and being able to do that. So all right, thanks, bye.